War is always a brutal affair. Many people are lost and even more lose their minds. The worst part is that oftentimes little is won or lost, and the belligerents use so many resources and manpower that it almost seems like they just threw resources and fighting men down a well. So I then proceeded to compile a list of the 3 most pointless wars in history in which one or both belligerents expended a lot of resources and the peace agreement consisted of a white peace or minor terms. I'm also excluding the 2 world wars because I think we all understand how much was lost. So knowing that, let's begin the list. Number 1, the invasion of England by the Spanish Armada. Philip II of Spain had been married to the Queen of England, Mary. They were both Catholics and did not like heretics. When Mary died, her Protestant sister Elizabeth took the throne and made Protestantism the official religion of England. Elizabeth had also supported the Dutch revolt against the Spanish. Therefore, Philip decided he would invade England and install a Catholic ruler. The Pope supported his decision and treated it like a crusade. Originally, Alvaro de Bazan, a highly experienced admiral, was in charge of a vast fleet created by the Spanish for the sole purpose of invading England and cutting off its supplies. But when de Bazan died, Alonso Perez de Guzman, 7th Duke of Medina Sidonia, was put in charge of the Armada. He was a competent soldier but had 0 naval experience. He wrote letters to Philip fearing the attack would not work, but courtiers to the king never let the king read these letters, as they felt God would ensure victory. Sailing into the English Channel, the Armada emerged from battles with Sir Francis Drake's ships virtually unscathed. The Spanish ships sailed in a crescent which made them hard to attack. The Armada, unable to find a port deep enough to pick up its troops, had to dock in Gravelines near modern-day Calais. While the Spanish were docked at night, the English sent fire ships towards the Spanish. These fire ships were basically just what their name suggests: ships on fire. The Spanish had lots of gunpowder on board their ships, and the hulls were made out of wood, so fire would be very deadly. Only one ship was sunk by the hull burners, but the Spanish lost their crescent shape. The English attacked, but were fought off heroically by the Spanish. Even being outnumbered 10 to 1, only 3 heavy ships or galleons were sunk. They saved the rest of the Armada from being sunk. The English then blockaded the English Channel, so the Spanish had to sail around northern Scotland and then past Ireland to return home. The Spanish crews were not ready for the long journey, and some people had to resort to eating rope. After passing an extremely dangerous storm in northern Scotland, the Spanish docked in Ireland. They thought Ireland would be friendly because they were both Catholics, but the Irish still saw the Spanish as invaders. Sailors that had evaded all these disasters still feared of catching diseases such as fever and scurvy. After all had been said and done, only 67 of the total 130 ships ever reached Spain. Just a little under 50% came back, a terrible loss. What makes this armada so pointless is that how massive it was and powerful, yet it still could not beat the untrained English sailors. So many resources were lost, tons upon tons of wood and ammunition, not to mention 20,000 Spanish sailors, compared to just 100 English sailors. Number 2, the Taiping Rebellion. The Taiping Rebellion was a civil war that occurred from 1850 to 1864 in China. The Qing dynasty fought the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, a kingdom led by Hong Xiquan. Hong believed himself to be the younger brother of Jesus Christ and second son of God. Hong had visions of this and believed it was his duty to rid China of the devils, aka the Manchu. Before the rebellion, China was ruled by the Manchus. Most important people in government were ethnic Manchus. As time wore on, ethnic Hans, which made up most of China's population, saw the Manchus as corrupt and useless. Hong used this to attract Hans, who hated the Manchus, to his sect of Christians, the God-worshipping society. The Manchus persecuted the movement, and what started as a guerrilla rebellion evolved into a full-scale civil war. Many people flocked to the movement, especially the poor, because they blamed their hardship on the Manchus. In 1853, after the Taipings captured Nanjing, they halted. They renamed it Tianjin, meaning heavenly capital. They also sent an expedition to capture Beijing, but it failed. Another expedition of the Yangtze River proved very successful. One of Hong's associates, Yang Shiqing, who claimed to act as the voice of God, tried to usurp power from other leading figures in the country and was in turn slain with thousands of his followers. Then a few other generals started to fear Hong and therefore left Hong, taking their followers with them. In 1860, the Taipings attempted to take Shanghai but were defeated by an American, Frederick Townsend Ward. The high social class, which usually supported rebellions, did not support this one because of the anti-Confucian views the Taipings had. They united under Zheng Guofan and in 1864 took over the city of Nanjing. Hong refused to leave Nanjing and committed suicide there just a little while before the city fell. He designated his son as his successor. The Qing Empire could no longer hold complete control over China as a result, as it had lost too many resources. Most estimates suggest that 20 to 30 million people died. The Chinese refused to let anyone speaking the Guangxi dialect surrender and executed them. It is reported that 1 million people were executed in the Guangdong province alone, not to mention all the resources lost, and mostly because Hong just thought he was the brother of Jesus Christ. Number 3, the Iran-Iraq War. The Iran-Iraq War was a war that happened between Iraq and Iran from 1980 to 1988. The leader of the newly found Islamic dictatorship of Iran, Ruhollah Khomeini, stated that Iraq needed to stage a coup and dispose of its ruling Ba'ath Party and leader Saddam Hussein. This made Saddam feel uneasy. Saddam wanted to gain new oil fields and settle territorial disputes and invaded Iran on September 22, 1980. Initially, the Iraqis were very successful, but in time they were stopped. Khomeini stated that the Iranians would not stop fighting until Saddam's regime was toppled. Iran then went on the offensive and started to attack Iraq. This made the Iraqis resort to using chemical weapons such as poison gas. The Iranians captured many strategic objectives over the next few years. Most of the rest of the world became involved in the war when Iran started attacking Kuwaiti oil tankers. In 1988, Iran was forced to accept a United Nations mandated ceasefire. Iran had the support of few nations, Syria and Libya to name a few. Meanwhile, Iraq was supported by most Arab countries and Western countries. It is estimated that 2 to 3 million lives were lost during the war, not to mention over $1 trillion in damages and resources lost. All this for no changes to borders and a stalemate. Pretty pointless if you ask me. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.